Good morning, and thank you for joining me today for a discussion about the power of partnerships. My coworkers and I have discussed with families on several occasions how impactful the power of partnerships can be for key stakeholders in a resident's care. To fully understand the power of partnerships, we must first examine the idea of person centered care. An influential pioneer in dementia care research, Tom Kitwood, developed the concept of person centered care in the 1980s. He believed that person centered care was the most effective approach when caring for the elderly and persons with dementia. With the person centered approach, a person works closely with their health practitioners to actively participate in their own care. Though the tenets of his care approach are the bedrock for dementia and elderly care units across the world, Kitwood was missing one fundamental aspect of care: relationships. At Spring Hills, we believe that the power of partnerships advances our standard of care past the limitations of person centered care by placing emphasis on partnership driven, relationship based care. The power of partnerships surpasses the restraint of focusing solely on the individual and expands compassionate care to include collaboration between key stakeholders. Our partnerships include the diverse perspectives, values, and interventions of all persons involved in compassionate care collaboration. The key stakeholders in a resident's care are the resident themselves, family members, loved ones, Spring Hill staff, and clinical practitioners. Meaningful partnerships must always begin with the individual, be it a person with dementia and memory care or an elder transitioning to assisted living. One of the most common misconceptions about persons with dementia is that they are unable to take an active role in their care. This couldn't be further from the truth. At Spring Hills communities, our dedicated staff and practitioners are trained to communicate with and properly interpret the needs, preferences, and wishes of elders and persons with dementia. This specialized training, residents can take a front row seat in the development of their care plans. In many long-term care communities, there is a tendency to force elders and persons with dementia into institutionalized boxes, and pharmaceutical interventions are used to mask behaviors and conditions rather than uncover the needs of the person within. The focus in our communities is first and foremost on the resident. We seek interventions to revitalize and empower the selfhood of our residents while recognizing the inherent value they offer to the world. Many elders state that the late stages of life are the most meaningful. Thus, we work with our residents and their loved ones to ensure that this vision is a reality. When asked what is most meaningful in their life, nearly every older adult will answer their family. How can we deliver a superior standard of care without including the most important components of a person's life? We can't. Therefore, Spring Hills recognizes family and loved ones as a foundational element in the development and sustainment of positive partnerships and quality care. With the support and participation of family and loved ones in building these meaningful relationships, we're left with a rather one-dimensional partnership. To understand how these partnerships rely on care collaboration from key stakeholders, such as family and loved ones, we must first examine the concept of the multidimensional self. The multidimensional self is comprised of three parts: the first self, the second self, and the third self. The first self refers to a person's biological traits, such as genetics and predispositions towards certain diseases. The first self is dictated by gene expression, and it is not easily manipulated. We can relate this self to a resident's medical history. When considering this self, we may ask, how does this person's genetics play a role in their care and treatment? The second self is the psychological self. This self is formed by the perception of others. How do others see this person? Where was this person raised? What was their childhood like? What has influenced this person's decisions throughout their lifespan? The second self informs us of socialization with others. The third and final self refers to a person's view of themselves. What is their personality like? What are their interests, passions, and motivators? What creates disgust or distress in this person? What behaviors have formed over the course of the lifetime to best meet their needs? So, why is it important to understand the multidimensional self? The multidimensional self offers us insight into the various parts of a person. What a resident may present to the care team could only be a fraction of the totality of that individual. Healthcare practitioners and medical records are helpful to understand the biological components of a person, the first self. The second self is best understood by the people closest to the resident. This self allows us to understand aspects of a person that may otherwise be hidden. This insight can help us understand if a person is acting differently than they may have at home, or if a behavior has developed that differs to a person's normal manner. A resident's self-reports and personality help us understand the third self. What exactly makes this person unique? When we reflect on the complicated nature of the multidimensional self, it illuminates the importance of creating meaningful partnerships with family and loved ones. For Spring Hill staff to truly understand the individual, we must be able to openly collaborate with the people who know them best. You, our valued partners, can offer insights into your loved one's personality, background history, preferences, and so much more. Attachment styles are another way that families can help us better understand our residents. Personality and attachment styles are constant throughout the lifespan. Preserving personhood relies greatly on honoring past attachments and personality traits. The adage goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And though we know that new habits can form in the later stages of life, it is very unlikely that an individual's attachment style will change. This is especially true for persons with dementia and the elderly. So rather than attempt to change the behaviors that we see from our elders and persons with dementia, it is best to try to understand these behaviors based on a model of attachment. This approach allows us to properly assess the appropriate interventions for each person. So, what are attachments and how do they contribute to how we understand elders and persons with dementia? Attachment styles are formed during the earliest stages of life, between 7 and 11 months of age. Each person's attachment style is based on the relationships that they had with their earliest caregivers. And for many people, the attachment style is learned from the relationship with their parents. The most common forms of attachment are secure and insecure. Those with secure attachments are likely to trust others and are open to exploring new environments and new relationships. They adjust well to change and they are comfortable with being alone. Persons with secure attachments are likely to be confident and stable, even in uncertain situations, such as traversing through the dementia process. A resident with a secure attachment is likely to have a smoother transition into a new community. They are also more likely to trust staff and work actively to collaborate in their own care. Conversely, persons with insecure attachment are fearful of new environments and lack confidence in unfamiliar situations. Persons with less secure attachment distrust others, but they desperately long for closeness and connection. Thus, they can be overly dependent on others. Less secure people may be referred to as high maintenance or needy. These residents have a more difficult transition into a community, and they may require more attention and consideration when adjusting to their new home. It is important to mention that there is not a superior attachment style, as each style has its limitations. For instance, a secure person may struggle with reporting their difficulties or limitations due to fear of being perceived as weak. Considering attachment styles and the complex nature of understanding the totality of a person, we can truly begin to appreciate the power of partnerships and just how valuable they are in providing quality care to our residents. Family and loved ones are crucial to understanding each resident. The pre-care conference conducted prior to your loved one's transition is a valuable opportunity to share these important details with our staff. They help us to anticipate a person's behavior and to be prepared to help them acclimate in a manner that is familiar and safe to them. There are many partnership opportunities for the key stakeholders in a resident's care. The initial assessment conducted by the Director of Resident Care is the first partnership opportunity with Spring Hills. During the assessment, the DRC collaborates with a new resident to learn about their medical background and begins to work with them to attend to the development of their plan of care. This is an opportunity for clinical practitioners to partner with the resident to discover the stage of cognitive functioning, as well as learn about the abilities and personality of the resident. If the assessment is unable to be completed with the sole contribution of a resident, the DRC will then partner with the family to learn more about the resident's medical needs and background. The next opportunity for partnership is the pre-care conference. For those of you with loved ones already residing in our communities, you have participated in partnership with our resident family ambassador or resident concierge to complete the pre-care conference for your loved one. This conference provides our staff with background history, interest, hobbies, and everyone's favorite, food preferences. Our staff members also partner with the resident to get their input in completing the pre-care conference. This information is then shared with our care team and providers in preparation for your loved one's arrival. The 30-day review meeting is another partnership opportunity to discuss your loved one's acclimation period in our community. During this meeting, we discuss any concerns you may have regarding your loved one's move, what has been successful in their care plan, and what interventions can be used to further promote their health and well-being. Like the 30-day review meeting, we also have biannual care conferences with family and loved ones to discuss a resident's individualized service plan and to address any changes in care or condition that may have occurred over the past 6 months. This gives all key stakeholders in a resident's care the opportunity to share their unique perspectives and insights to ensure the highest quality of care is being provided to our residents. Positive partnerships are crucial at this stage of care as family, loved ones, and staff work together towards the common goal of advocating towards the rights, dignity, and personhood of each resident. The greatest opportunity for meaningful partnership with our Spring Hills communities is through daily communication. We are more than happy to collaborate daily with families, loved ones, providers, and residents to continue caring with a commitment to quality. There are 4 key tenets to supporting partnerships: acknowledge, honor, advocate, and celebrate. To fully manifest the power of partnerships, all key stakeholders must acknowledge the authority a resident has over their own care. We must honor their needs, wishes, and expectations. This means that we, as active participants, must relentlessly advocate for the rights and care of that individual. We have the unique opportunity to be an ally for a person's health, dignity, and pursuit of happiness. When we consider just how remarkable these relationships are and the difference they can make in a loved one's life, the power of partnership is undeniable. This is not to say that the journey will be perfect. We are all likely to make mistakes. But this I can say, the journey will be in perfect partnership. And the best way we can support one another along the way is by celebrating our successes. Every little victory counts, and each success moves us one step closer to reaching our goal, enhancing the quality of life for those we love and serve. When we work together in partnership, the benefits are wide-reaching. Positive partnership enables us to foster deep connections with one another. These relationships are built on the understanding that we trust one another to have a resident's best interests at heart. Partnerships allow us to support one another by maintaining an open and transparent dialogue. This creates a safe space for care collaboration to take place and for each key stakeholder's perspectives to be honored and utilized. Together, we are better fit to identify barriers to providing the highest quality of care. And through our partnership, we can collaborate to find the most effective interventions for redeeming these limitations. One of the greatest benefits of positive partnerships is that they have the power to combat the stigmatization of the elderly and persons with dementia. Our advocacy for these stigmatized populations extends beyond the halls of Spring Hill's communities and reaches our communities at large. Our partnerships support the autonomy, dignity, selfhood, and respect of our residents, and in turn empowers them to live boldly. In review, partnerships can make a significant impact in the lives of key stakeholders in a resident's care. Positive partnerships can redefine the quality of care for elderly and persons living with dementia by examining the totality of the person. They enable key stakeholders to identify the best practices for a resident's care. Positive partnerships also empower residents to be proactive in their own care, and they grant opportunities for key stakeholders to advocate for resident rights, autonomy, and personhood. Lastly, positive partnerships offer many benefits to key stakeholders and promote change in both Spring Hill's communities and society at large. At Spring Hill's communities, we pledge to dedicate ourselves to the principles of trust, respect, and integrity while giving the best of ourselves to the remarkable people we serve. Please join us in the power of partnership, where together we can achieve excellence through teamwork. Thank you so much for joining me today for a discussion about the power of partnerships. I hope you have a lovely day.